Hi, I'm Mike Cariaso, and I'm here today outside the Embassy of Myanmar in Washington, D.C. because it's an international day for recognition of the concerns going on inside Burma right now. Most specifically, monks are definitely being killed for peaceful protests, calling for democracy and other needs to be addressed within the country. But there's a lot of problems been going on for a very, very long time, and today is just a sort of opportunity to make it a focal point. The picture over here is of Aung San Suu Kyi. Her father, Aung San, up on the hill, was sort of the Burmese version of George Washington, essentially. In 1990 or so, she won the election with an 85% majority and is sort of the recognized leader for the NLD, the National League for Democracy, and given the opportunity will probably be put forth as the new leader of Burma. But the opportunity for that to happen hasn't really been allowed to come to fruition yet.
You said that she's basically been under arrest or house arrest since she won the election.
Essentially true. I'm not sure of the exact dates, but in around 1988 was the big uprising. By 1990, protests in the streets had grown. That led to about 3,000 being killed that time around and many more put in prison. A lot of the folks here, in fact, are either refugees from that uprising. But from 1990 or so until today, she's been under house arrest essentially continuously, one brief break. Along the way, she did actually pick up the Nobel Peace Prize, so she's a pretty good candidate, you'd think, for leading the country should that opportunity come up.
Now, how did you get involved?
A friend of mine who was well-traveled was curious to go into Burma, and she wanted someone else to come with her because she was a little nervous knowing how sort of complicated and sometimes very bad the situation can be there, traveling as a woman alone. We went in, we found it to be a wonderful country, beautiful, very friendly, incredibly well-balanced for rights for women, actually, and so that whole concern went away instantly. But talking to the people and understanding what was going on made a very big impression on me. On two later trips to the general Southeast area region, I looked for opportunities to get involved and find ways to help. I've been reading a lot of my own back here at home. And I've become active with a school in the Mae Sot area. There's a clinic there from Dr.
Now, when you say Mae Sot area, where is that?
Mae Sot is a town directly on the border of Thailand and Burma. It's sort of a major gateway. There's a friendship bridge there between the two countries. There's also a lot of refugee camps. There's about 50,000 living in Mae La camp and a few other camps in the area. These are bamboo shanty towns, essentially. People have been there for 20 plus years in many cases.
And the religion in Burma is basically what, Buddhist?
The religion is basically Buddhist, but within the different hill tribes and ethnic groups, there are variations. The Karen, who I stay often with, are actually Christian. I think it was missionaries who came in the 1850s or so, and there's quite a bit of diversity throughout the region. At the moment, with the monks, the protests are certainly taking on a very Buddhist flavor, but all groups are represented within their cultures there.
So the main objection then is to the military junta running the country. They want to bring this democracy back and recertify that old election.
In 88 or so, the junta had said, we're going to hold an election, and their disconnect from the people that they were lording over was bad enough, but they didn't realize they weren't going to win this election. They forgot to rig it. They ended up losing with Aung San Suu Kyi getting about an 85% of the vote, and so I think a lot of people here would just like to see that election being recognized. If forces could be brought in as peacekeepers or otherwise to allow the results of that election to actually be recognized, that would make all the difference in the world. There's a lot of ways to possibly approach this.
And how many refugees are there, Mike? There's a lot of bad stuff going on right now.
I will defer to others who know better on the actual refugee counts. I can tell you that in the case of Mae La camp, there's about 40 to 50,000 people in that camp alone. There's a lot of others who have been relocated to third countries via the UN or other groups, and plenty of other camps in the area, both on the Thai side as well as the Indian side of the border. It's a massive humanitarian crisis.
Okay, thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate it.